everybody, Marcos Villegas here with Danny Jacobs, who takes on Gennady Golovkin coming up on March 18th on pay-per-view, man. Danny Jacobs, you're on pay-per-view, man. How does that feel for you? And it's obviously a big accomplishment.
It's a big accomplishment. It's the biggest accomplishment thus far. I believe the magnitude of this fight, it deserves to be on pay-per-view. It deserves to be recognized as one of the biggest fights because of what we bring to the table. We're both true middleweights. We're both the best in our division. And I think that the fact that it's a pay-per-view shows the magnitude of this fight, and it shows just how much they're willing to put into this fight to be able to be shown throughout the world. This is going to be shown in over 100 countries. I mean, this is the type of fight when you have the best fighting the best that you want to be worldwide, not just in the United States or a couple other countries. This is the type of fight that we want, and we're going to prepare to give the best possible performance so that they can be talking about this from years to come.
This fight was rumored to be happening for a very, very long time. It's one that you wanted even after the other fight that you had with Moore, the rematch. You said right away, I want this fight. We're hoping that would have happened in December. It's happening now in March. But what took so long?
Well, what took so long is the side that people really don't get a chance to see, and that's the business side of it. You know, my role as a fighter is to train, be 100% ready, and do my part. And I also have a team to make sure they represent me in the best way that I can be 100% comfortable with the deal that's being made. So that's for that reason, I believe that it took a little longer than expected. But even still, in that time frame, it got a little bit juicy. Right? Gennady was fighting, I was fighting, and now is the opportunity for both of us to meet. It wasn't long as Pacquiao Mayweather, which is great, but in the same...
It's great when it doesn't take 5 years for a fight to happen.
Exactly, but even still, you know, sometimes things take time because the business aspect of it, which people don't really get the chance to see, in which they shouldn't criticize, they should just, be fans of it, support it, and now that it's finally here, it's all out the window. Now we're going to go to war.
You mentioned the criticism. Because it took so long, there was like a perception by some fans that you weren't ready for the fight yet, that you were just prolonging it to get more time in, to prepare for him. What do you make of all that was thrown out there?
Well, I've always said before that, obviously coming back from cancer, that I didn't want to fight the best just yet because man, I just learned how to walk again. Why do I want to go in and fight the best of the best? I had to get acclimated. I had to get my feet wet, and that's what we did. And once I knew I was at a point where I was ready for the best is when we started calling out the best. We wanted to fight certain other guys that didn't want to accept the fight. And even with the Peter Quinlan fight was one of my biggest wins thus far. Put me in place to fight Gennady Golovkin. So I'm just happy to be here. The criticism is going to come whatever you do. It's crazy how boxing fans sometimes can be the biggest critics when they actually should support the fighters, But in my opinion, I'm finally happy that it's here. The business aspect, I'm very comfortable and happy with. So now I can have a peace of mind in camp and know that I'm putting my life on the line and going inside that ring to give people entertainment. But, all across the board, all factors are covered.
You having such an accomplished amateur career, that kind of got me curious when I was doing research on both you guys. Did you ever come across him in the amateurs? I know you never fought him in the amateurs, but were you hearing about him? And if so, what were you hearing about him?
It's very odd because I never heard about him until maybe he fought Andre Dirrell, in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he was a generation ahead of me. But my first time hearing him was with the Andre Dirrell fight, and then into the professional world when he came over here and started training with Abel. So I had very few knowledge of Gennady Golovkin, but at the same time, he's deserved where he's at this point. He had over 400 amateur fights. He's done the Olympics. He's a multiple world champion. Take nothing off from him. He's earned his spot, and that's just what I'm trying to do in the sport of boxing now. I'm trying to earn my stripes.
I read an interview that you did that you said that you've been studying him for a few years now. In that time, have you seen him become vulnerable at all? Because people have mentioned that he has looked vulnerable in the last few fights with him taking a lot of punches.
I think to say the opposite is to be doing discredit. Like, you have to call a spade for a spade. And to say that he doesn't have defensive mislaps, you're not really a fan. You don't know the sport of boxing. I mean, obviously, everyone isn't perfect inside that ring. Everyone has certain things to learn. Everyone has certain... When you go back and you study tapes, you say, okay, I could have switched that, I could have fixed that. So when studying him over the years, once he became on my radar, we just look for some of the things that he doesn't do well. And I guess the game plan is to capitalize off of that. My attributes, what I bring to the table, be 100% and minimize his strengths.
People would mention the Brook fight as being an example of some of those defensive lapses. What did you make of that performance that he had against Brook?
Well, I knew that he was fairly bigger than Brook, and I knew that it probably was a matter of time before the power kind of took over. No disrespect to Brook, he's a phenomenal champion, he's a phenomenal person, but I just knew that the size difference was going to be the deciding tell. But now you have a true middleweight, taller, longer, and strong, that's going to go up against each other, and now we're going to see what he's really made of. And I'm no slouch. People say, oh, but you've been down by Mora, oh, you've been knocked out before. What champion hasn't been knocked down? What champion hasn't been on the canvas? Manny Pacquiao got knocked out 2 or 3 times before he became pound-for-pound king. So people go down, but it's about how you react and how you come back and how you get up and keep fighting. And that's my nature. I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to do the best that I can do, and I'm going to give it my all.
You have a lot of big changes in your camp. I've been reading that you're incorporating Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter. You're also incorporating Chris Algieri to do your nutrition as well. Talk to me about these changes and why you're doing them now.
Well, Virgil Hunter opened up his gym to us. Him and my trainer, Andre Rozier, has been friends for over 20 years. So when we were looking for a place to have camp, we thought it'd be a great idea to go out there to Oakland. And he said of any assistant that he can be, he would. So I'm not sure if he's going to be working my corner or how that's going to play out. I mean, we don't know, but at the same time, just to be rubbing shoulders with those guys, and Andre Ward, someone who I respect and admire, to get some advice from him and just to have that good energy. Boxing is all about energy. It's a 80% mental game. So if my mental state could be right and I have a great camp, I'm going to be so pumped for come fight night.
And not only to add to that, you mentioned earlier when I saw you guys facing off, I kind of looked there and I'm like, damn, he's a lot bigger than Gennady. Yeah. And then went on your box rec and I saw longer reach and height. Yeah. How's that all going to play in fight night, and can you use that to knock him out?
Well, see, that's the biggest thing. He's really fighting a true middleweight with size, power, speed, athleticism, so on and so forth. And it's up to me, and it's my job to be able to go out and execute the game plan accordingly, because I have all the tools and the makeup to be successful.
On a final note, you had a lot of fanfare when you made your debut. You had a lot of praise, a lot of hype. Then you had some stumbling blocks. Yeah. To finally get back to this position, what does this fight truly mean to you, given what you've overcome?
You know, it gives me chills every time I think about my life and where I've come from to where I am now. I've had a lot of setbacks outside the ring. And just to have this fight happen and the magnitude of it, and just to have the respect and appreciation from my peers and from the public, is just very heartwarming. You know, when you do something and you put your life on the line and you sacrifice so much for what you do, to have someone say, I appreciate you for doing that, it means so much. And I just feel like, the Creator is allowing me to have these opportunities, and it's up to me to go out and get it. So come fight night, man, I'm going to take advantage of all these opportunities that I've been given.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. It's great seeing you. I appreciate this fight. It's going to be a great fight happening March 18th on pay-per-view. This man right here challenging Gennady Golovkin in Madison Square Garden.